So NSSF is a mandatory national scheme, and it's not only in Kenya, it's there in most countries in the world. And the purpose of the Social Security Fund in any country is to provide basic social security benefits to the people in that country. And mainly we usually talk about retirement benefits. Survivor benefits means death benefits, invalidity. All this is to be able to reduce or to improve the living standards of the people, to reduce poverty and to assist the economy. So specifically, if we look at the money that you and I have been contributing over time, the 200 per employee, per employer, so about 400 per month, it enables us, it provides retirement benefits to the employees. So it ensures that when an employee retires, at least they have some basic level of income. Right. So in that way, as the employee ages, they are able to prevent poverty and destitution that would come with old age if they are not able to continue to work. Provide financial relief to beneficiaries of employees in the event of death. So when a member passes on, the benefits that they had been saving in the NSSF are paid to their beneficiaries or their next of kin. Again, it's able to assist the family so that they are able to sustain their livelihood. In this way, it also helps to reduce poverty in a country. You can imagine how many of us are contributing towards NSSF. The last statistics were about NSSF has about 3 million people. And of course, majority of those 3 million people are from the employed workforce. That is the formal sector. And I think the last numbers I checked, the formal sector is just under 4 million. Yeah, so you might find that majority of the people in the semi-formal and informal sector do not actually contribute to NSSF. But even though you can think about the 3 million people contributing 400 shillings per month over a period of 30 years, that's a huge amount of resources. So this is able to fund government and companies projects. So through NSSF, it's able to participate in government bonds. It's able to invest in listed companies, so like Safaricom, banks like yours, Equity, those in the listed markets. And in that way, you're able to spur economic growth. So the objectives of the new act, what is the big change between the 1965 Act and 2013 Act? It wanted to increase coverage because they saw that it was only a subsect of the population that was contributing to NSSF. So now they wanted to increase the coverage of NSSF. I think many of the exemptions were removed. I think and I'll explain those who are exempted, but majority, you and I as residents who are employers or a worker or unemployed persons in Kenya, we are supposed to now make contributions or become a member under the new NSSF 2013. Also, the level of benefits have changed just in line with market. Of course, how benefits were in 1965 and now have changed a bit. So at least the Act tries to keep in line with the trends when it comes to benefits. And of course, you and I are aware of the governance issue that NSSF has faced over time. And so this new Act was supposed to address some of the governance issues. They have tried to put a cap on fees. I think they put a cap of 2% in fees in the first 5 years in the beginning. But over time, those fees are supposed to reduce to 1.5% of the fund. And I mean, fees means expenses. Yeah. So expenses in running the fund are supposed to be managed well. And that's why the Act has put a cap. They have also talked a lot about the management of the fund through the Board of Trustees and how the Board of Trustees shall be run. So I think you and I, my hope is that in the new Act, things will be better for the NSSF. We hope that they will be able to improve on their governance so that they can have public goodwill and people can be able to contribute even willingly without being forced through penalties and sanctions. But the old NSSF, in its benefits, the way its benefits were structured, it was supposed to be a provident fund. And in the retirement benefit world, provident fund means that when we pay you your benefit, it's in the form of a lump sum. Generally, when it comes to retirement benefits, you can be paid your benefits in 2 ways. When you're paid your benefit in the form of a lump sum, then that kind of fund is referred to as a provident fund. When your benefit is paid in the form of a regular income, through an annuity or a pension, then we refer to that as a pension fund. So the old NSSF was a provident fund because it used to pay benefits in the form of a lump sum. I think if you speak to people who've retired or who are going to access their benefits, they would apply and everything is given as a lump sum. So the old NSSF will be closed, meaning no new contributions will go to that fund. The last contribution, if you made, was in January, went to the old NSSF. So this will be closed to new contributions. It will be ring-fenced and it will operate as an old fund, meaning that no new money should become into that fund. Now, this new act will set up two funds. It will set up a provident fund section and a pension fund section. The pension fund section is to cover all employed persons. And employed persons are defined, and in a very simple way, it's people who are subject to the Employment Act, and of course, you're 18 years and above. Now, for many of you, I know, just from what I've seen you put on the chat, you and I, or we all belong, we will mainly, I know most of us will belong under the pension fund section. And just as I've said, because it's a pension fund, just as the name suggests, pension, it means when you receive your retirement benefit from NSSF, contributions that are starting from February will be in the form of a regular income. Now, the provident fund section is opened to self-employed persons, meaning you're running your company, you're a sole proprietor, and workers in the informal sector. And because workers in the informal sector and self-employed persons are supposed to contribute on a voluntary basis, and therefore do not meet the criteria of employed persons. So if you contribute and fall under this section, you're contributing on a voluntary basis, and your provident fund, and it means that your benefit will be paid in the form of a lump sum. My thinking and our thinking has been, of course, most of the employed people, we are used to getting a regular income. So every month we receive a salary. And so the notion has always been in the retirement benefits world that you're used to receiving a salary in your working life. So in your post-working life, then whatever you have saved should be paid in a similar way, in the form of a regular income. If I'm computing the employees, tier 1 contribution is 6% of 6,000, which is 360. Then I've just gone ahead just to show that the employer will contribute a similar amount. So actually for tier 1, the total is 720. But answering my question, what is the employee's tier 1 contribution? Employee will make 360 because it's 6% of 6,000, which is the lower earnings limit. Tier 2 contribution is the difference between the upper earnings limit and the lower earnings limit. Back to this table, all we know in year 1 is the upper earnings limit is 50% of the NAE, and the NAE is 36. So the upper earnings limit is 18, the lower earnings limit is 6%. So the difference between the two is 12,000. So the employee's portion will be in tier 2 will be 6% of 12,000, which is 720. Remember, the employer will also make a similar contribution. So tier 2 total will be 1440. So if you're looking at the employee's total contribution, the employee will contribute tier 1 360, tier 2 720, and so the employee's total contribution is 1080. Employers is also similar. Tier 1 is 360, tier 2 is 720, and the total is 1080. So in year 1, what we expect is the NSF contributions from February to 2023 to January 2024 is 2160. Yeah, so this is why you've been seeing 2160. So 2160 has been completed in this way. Right, so here I have a table. It just goes to show different employees' earnings, yeah, and how their contributions will be. So for ease, I've just said there, let's remember again, the lower earnings limit is 6,000. The upper earnings limit is 18. So let's say an employee whose salary is 10. This employee here, whose employee earnings is, now remember, the Act has defined what is pensionable earnings, meaning what salary portion is used for purposes of computing NSF contributions, but they are the full earnings of the employee. So here I've referred to as the employee's earnings as what the person takes home. As gross is 10. Let's look at row 4 where I've assumed employee earnings is 10. But this employee earnings, because it's below the limit, then when we are trying to determine what is the pensionable earnings, we are looking at just 10,000. For an employee whose salary is, let's say, 25, yeah, for the employee whose salary is 25, because it's above the upper earnings limit, for purposes of NSSF, the pensionable earnings will be capped at 18. But let's look at this one of row 4. If the employee's salary is 10,000, if the employee salary is 10,000, then the pensionable earnings is 10,000. We will compute based on the definition of tier 1, 6% of 6,000. So here, so that's why we are still arriving at 360 for employee, 360 for employer, total is 720. Now for this employee, they still have an amount that they can contribute towards tier 2. Remember, people whose salary are below 6,000, they don't have anything under tier 2. Yeah, because for them, their salary is within the lower earnings limit. So for people whose salary is within the lower earnings limit, they have no contributions to make towards tier 2. But let's look at this person of 10,000 because their salary is above the lower earnings limit. So then we have the contributions as shown, still going back to my example. Now, the good thing is they are provided that a member may opt to receive up to 1/3 of their tier 2 balance as a lump sum. So you may opt, it's you opting to receive that portion as a lump sum, but the balance must be paid in the form of an income. Then the other benefit is a survivor's benefit. Survivor's benefit is, just as the name suggests, of course, it's triggered by death. It's paid on demise of a member who has made contributions for 36 months or more. They say that the benefit will be based on total balance, and there will be an enhancement, and that enhancement will be provided or has been provided in the law. This benefit, survivor's benefit, is paid to your nominated beneficiary, and it will be paid in the form of a lump sum. The other way that you can receive the benefit is invalidity, and this is where a member suffers permanent total disability and has been certified by the medical board. So there must be proof of permanent total disability. They say for this, the member must have made contributions for 36 months or more, and the benefit, it will be based on the total balance plus enhancement as per law. And once they get how much your benefit is, it will be paid in the same way as retirement. Remember, retirement, if you're under the pension fund, it will be, you can opt to take a portion as a lump sum, but the balance must be used to purchase you an income. Then there is immigration, and this is where a member immigrates from Kenya to another country. You will be required to show proof that you have no present intention of returning to reside in Kenya. Again, benefit is based on total balance, and it will be paid in the form of a lump sum. And then there's a funeral expense. I think this one, many of us have had it. It's in the market. It's usually in the market. The benefit that is paid to meet funeral expenses. So here, it's a grant of about 10,000, which is be paid to meet funeral expenses. And for this, a member must have been making contributions for 6 months prior to their demise. As you can see, these are 5 ways: on retirement, on demise of a member, on incapacitation, on incapacitation, yeah, or on disability. Let me just choose the simpler word, on immigration, and then the funeral expense is also on death. So there is no benefit on resignation or retrenchment. Even now with NSSF, there is no benefit on resignation or retrenchment. Right? So that's it on benefits. I just want to talk about tax because, yeah, we are all interested in tax. Is there good news? Yes, it's good news that contributions are tax deductible. Tier 1 and Tier 2 contributions are tax deductible. So somebody may ask, what does tax deductibility mean? I know many of you know because you're employers or self-employed, but just in case somebody is not aware, tax deductibility simply means this. If, let's say, my salary is 50,000 and my contributions to NSSF are, let's say, 6,000. Sorry, my contributions to NSSF are 18. In the Income Tax Act, it provides that the tax deductibility threshold currently is 20,000. Yeah. So if I'm making contributions of 18,000, which is within the tax deductibility threshold of 20,000, 20,000 is what it is right now, then from my salary of 50,000, 18,000 is deducted, and then the balance of 32,000 is what is subjected to tax. So tier 1 and tier 2 contributions will be tax deductible. Yeah, so that's a good thing. It will be paid from your salary before tax. So then the balance is what will be subjected to tax. Even right now, if you look at how tax is paid, it is your salary minus the 200, and then the balance is what is up. You as an employer need to consider whether you'd like to contract out. If you do not want to contract out, then your employees participate in tier 1 and tier 2 in NSSF. But if you wish to contract out and you did not have a pension retirement fund for your employees, then you can shop around for a retirement fund, and that retirement fund will apply for contracting out on your behalf. And at the end of the day, it's important that we educate our employees, we educate our members. So even as you go through the process, don't forget to provide members with education one way or another. It can be written. Just take any written information and at least share the same with them, or depending on the numbers you have. I know NSSF was willing to do member education for companies. They would send a representative. I'm not sure whether they would be able to do so immediately, but you can find a consultant who's able to come and do the education on your behalf to your employees.